God vibes only.
Peace. Welcome back to Astrology YouTube channel. We appreciate you stopping in, and we definitely here keep our eyes to the sky and ears to the street. All right, my apologies, y'all. I had to make sure the technical difficulties are out the way. But again, welcome back to Astrology YouTube channel, where we keep our eyes to the sky and ears to the street. We definitely appreciate you stopping in today, and we have a great topic to cover. Of course, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification for future videos that are definitely coming down the pipe. Also, if you feel free, comment, and also share the video if you find it interesting and that others might benefit from the information. So today we have a very interesting topic. There's some things that have happened here in the last couple of days as far as some movements in the heavens. And we're talking about Shani, of course, entering into Pisces. This is a long-awaited transit. It's taken 28 to 30 years for this to happen. So this is long overdue. But, of course, we shall now tarry in disseminating what it holds for all of us. Now, without further ado, let's just dive right on in. We recently, of course, had this transit occur March 29th, 2025, Saturday. And it has been something of an interesting conversation already, because although Shani is very slow, his effects are very profound. And we're going to begin to see those effects here in our lives and on the planet very quickly here within the next few weeks, if not days to come. But not to tarry, let's talk about Pisces. Pisces is a sign that deals in many things. One, of course, is dreams. It deals in fantasy. It deals in the imagination. It deals in the possibilities, the what ifs, the could be's. Right? It's a sign that really focuses on spirituality, and it harnesses a concept called moksha, or what we would call liberation, translated into the English term. And so it's a sign that really deals in finality. It deals in the culmination of the last 30 years of dealing with things. It's a sign that deals in the end, and it deals in really letting go and surrendering to things. And of course, we're going to get into this in much greater detail here in the slides that are coming up. We have some visuals that will assist us in understanding this, but let's add into the equation Shani. Shani is the planet that deals in, of course, things that are things that we have to die to, things we have to come to a realization of, things we have to face. Life lessons, hard truths. It deals in responsibility. One of the interesting things it also deals in is sobriety, right? And it's an interesting combination when we begin to add the Graha to a Rashi that doesn't deal in sobriety. Pisces is a Rashi that deals in, the escapism and the possible what have yous. It's not a realistic Rashi. Shani is the planet of realism itself, the planet of concretizing reality, materialization, bringing that which is from heaven down to earth. It's the planet of time. It's the planet of things that we don't want to deal with. Well, when this particular Graha enters into the world of fantasy, there's some interesting things that come about. And we're going to talk about what this particular graha does when it's in this Rashi. There's a cross effect when planets enter into Rashi. Of course, the Rashi, the sign, of course, shapes and affects the planet as to what it will do. But there's a adverse effect where the planet is going to imbibe those forces into the particular energetic matrix that that particular sign holds. So there's a dualization process, there's an interplay, there's a mathematical, if you will, formula that is produced. And so we're going to talk about what that looks like here in real time. But without further ado, right, let's go ahead and move into this particular conversation. We're going to go ahead and take a look here to see how Shani is going to release its forces through this particular very spiritualized sign. And so it's going to occur, of course, from March 29th, 2025 to June 1st of 2027. And you can see here old man time, right, is entering into the waters, right, of spirit. And this particular process will bring us about to understand that some conversations that the conversations we have about these particular sciences really has to harken back to language. And language is a very good place to start because it reveals some things that kind of aren't so obvious about the Rashis or the Graha or whatever we're studying in Jyotish. And one of the words that is tied to Pisces or Mina is Antya, and it means end, which is final. It means last in place, in time, or in order. It's the lowest place or condition. It's one who finishes or completes. So again, this Rashi is really about bringing things to a culmination, about bringing things to a concise point of end or change. Antya is the number quadrillion, right? Meaning it's a very vast concept. It's something that's endless, something that has no boundaries. That's what Pisces is. It's boundless. It's predominant with the Sattvic guna, meaning that it's very peaceful Rashi, a calm, energetic matrix. Again, Antyaba means the end. It's another name that's tied to this particular Rashi. The end of things. The end of what we've been dealing with for the past 30 years. It also ties to the word mina, or fish. And we're going to see how that ties in here. Very interesting here in a minute. But the word mina's derivative means to alter or change, to frustrate, to go away, to lose one's way, to transgress, to violate, to diminish, and to lessen. So this particular Rashi represents the kind of judgment or graduation, if you will, to something higher, provided you've done what you're supposed to do for the past time period involved. It's mutable, so it's going to be dealing with changes, right? The word itself again means to change. You know, these fish are swimming in opposite directions, right? Pulled back and forth between to and fro. So this change that we're going to be dealing with is something that is going to be someone is going to cause us to let go. And it is a Mula Trikona sign, meaning the root sign for K2. It's connected via Matsya, which is the avatar of K2. And K2 is the Karaka, or the planet that represents endings. So this, again, is something that we have to realize, that this is a time where we have to just get out of our own way. Those things that have not been serving us, that have been supporting us, that haven't been really fundamentally moving us to a next level, have to go away. They will. And Shani will make sure that that happens in a manner that we can't look back. The relationship Again, Saturn is neutral to Jupiter, Pisces ruler, and this means that there's no animosity, there's no hostility between these two forces. It's just like chemicals, it's like, acid and base. They neutralize one another. So this is the kind of effect that Saturn will have here. It will not have the virulence or the animosity they would have otherwise. Saturn does function better in air signs or earth signs, and because Pisces is a water sign, it kind of irritates Saturn's inherent nature. Yet this irritant produces a profound spiritual depth and realization in the area it transits. Wherever it is in your chart is going to give you some understanding about that area in a deep way. Pisces represents the subconscious, the spirit world, where we don't understand everything. This is now going to be brought to a realization and understanding, and we're going to get a chance to see that which we have misunderstood or that which we have not carefully looked at. Pisces is a Sattvic Rashi and Shani is a Tamasic Graha. They cancel each other out to a degree. And this basically is going to require a contemplative and grounded approach to life during this transit. Shani's Tamasity is reduced to a degree because of the Sattvic nature of Pisces. So it kind of takes away the negative aspects and lets Shani just become an observer. He also becomes one that just gives us the ability to see the plain truth. Not in a harsh way, but in a very compassionate way. Because Saturn does rule the 11th and the 12th house from Pisces, it creates kind of a half and half type relationship, be it gain and loss, endings and beginnings. Saturn, because it governs an area that deals in moving forward in a healthy way or goals, it also teaches us that those goals have to be realistic and come to it from a place that is able to bring things to pass. If not, then it's not going to come with us. It's not going to pass into the next realm or area of life. Saturn rules the second nakshatra in Pisces, Uttara Bhadrapada, and this basically strengthens Saturn's effect, adding intensity and power to create change while he's transiting. Right? It's going to really get you to face the music. Wherever he is, that's what he does. But Pisces is a sign that really says, hey, if it doesn't work, it's got to go. It's going to ask us some grave questions. It's kind of a celestial interrogation process, a cosmic review. It makes us face our spiritual level and growth of evolution at this time, and it wants our dreams to come reality, to stop living in a fantasy world. It clears the path by digging up old wounds to be healed. Now, one of the things that I, teach my students is that, it serves to eat everywhere. The Bible is full of gems that are astrologically oriented, and one of which we're going to discuss today is the story of Jonah, right, in the Bible, right? And in the Bible, Jonah, right, is associated with the whale. Jonah is one of the 12 minor prophets of the Bible. And that number 12 is a very specific number because it's well throughout the Bible. And, of course, it ties directly into astrological underpinnings. But the name Jonah itself means a dove or dove-like. And it means being lovable or loving. And, it really talks about how the Supreme Being gives us a warning. It gives us a kind of a tap on our shoulder before something major is about to befall. It really talks about how if you're paying attention to the signs, you can begin to understand what is happening in your life. This is how we use the Bible in a very practical and realistic way to understand what the universe wants us to kind of imbibe or do in our life. Um, but in the story, Jonah was reluctant to deliver the message. And we have to look at in our lives, how reluctant are we to hear the message of finality, hear the message that, whoever or whatever these things are that don't serve us just can't come in the next journey that we're on. And so Jonah, he wants to escape. He wants to flee, right, from the presence of the Lord by going to Joppa. Now, again, it's interesting that he wants to flee. He wants to escape from the responsibility of passing on a message to Nineveh. And Nineveh is a city at the time that was, according to the Bible, performing wicked deeds and living in a wicked manner. Of course, Jonah is swallowed up by the whale, right, or this large fish, and he's held in the belly for 3 days. Now, in this belly of the whale, he realizes his purpose, and he's released, and of course, he proceeds to deliver the message at once. This is more indicative of how this particular transit will occur, and that we're going to be somewhat reluctant. Some of us really won't want to hear the final call to change, to move into a higher existence, to let that go which doesn't work. Pisces is a sign that deals in addictions, right? It deals in wanting to move into alternate states of reality, not to face what we're dealing with here on Earth. And it's talking about really what's unhealthy, what doesn't serve you in the grand sense of things. What is blocking you from your purpose. This is what Jonah is teaching about in the well, in that we have to adhere to the message. And also we have to share that message to others, that this is a time that is not about becoming drunk with our ego, or drunk with our pleasures, or drunk with the things that are of the world, but really focusing on hearing that silent voice, hearing that conscious that's trying to speak to us as the next move that we need to do. Now, some of the things that pass here in the next couple of years will be very interesting. Of course, major natural disasters via the oceans will occur, as Shani's going to stir up storms and intense weather patterns. This is especially when he enters between 13 degrees 20 minutes to 26 degrees 40 minutes when he enters in Uttara Bhadrapada. Interestingly enough, as I discussed previously on the video, we'll get more into Ahirbudnya and what his kind of message is for the world at large while Shani transits this particular Rashi. But it's going to create a lot of intense weather patterns, especially during that period of time. Of course, typhoons, tsunamis, hurricanes, these types of things are going to occur. Large oil spills is something also to consider, because Shani is the Graha for oil. Right? Shani rules the color black, so anything that's associated with black on the planet will kind of come under its rulership. And oil is one of those things, right, where oil and water kind of don't mix. It's teaching us how to move forward, and the necessity of not relying on fossil fuels in being able to sustain ourselves in a much more holistic and healthy manner. And we're moving towards that as we speak. It's a growing pain that we're experiencing as the planet moves forward, but it's something that we're definitely taking serious. Shani rules trash, rubbish, things that are dirty. And so the oceans will really come under scrutiny as far as this is concerned. Sea life, things like that are going to be really recognized as being, endangered species lists are going to come about as well. But also there's going to be new species to be found, because Saturn does rule the ability to go deep. And Pisces being a deep Rashi, that which is on the ocean floor is definitely going to give some secrets as well. Now, Shani's third house aspect on Taurus will create some economic downturns and financial pressures. So definitely expect recessions, even a worldwide recession at some point throughout this 2-year process. Of course, Shani governs food as well. So, of course, we can possibly look to food shortages around the globe. So definitely, if you're into prepping and preparing for things, this is a time that is the last call, right? If you know what I'm talking about and something that is coming, because we all feel the impending change, we all feel the impending shift that's about to happen. Shani is also going to aspect the seventh house from itself, which is Virgo. So health crises will abate. You know, there's something that will come out about as far as maybe bird flu or something of a nature that really will cause us to take or pay attention to health globally as well. And then, of course, the 10th house aspect is to Sagittarius, which, you know, a lot of religious leaders will come under Saturn's gaze, right? And Saturn's gaze is not one you want to be under if you're not doing right. Corruption, um, things that are done underneath, behind the scenes, in the dark. Remember, we just had an eclipse in Pisces, and eclipses are things that blow things up, that reveal hidden truths. And so Shani is going to usher that in as he moves through and make sure that we do get an opportunity to see behind the screen or behind the hidden kind of aspects of government in the world at large, and also behind religion. Religion itself, you know, those leaders that are out here promoting X, Y, and Z, and they're not living in accordance to what they're promoting. These are some of the things that Shani is going to expose while he's transiting Pisces. Of course, any leaders that are not healthy, any leaders that are not that are older or may have had some challenges in the past, those are definitely going to come up for our observation in this particular transit. Key factors of this time, right? It's a final warning to wake up. What I mean by that is this. Remember, this is the last Rashi before new beginnings happen. Aries is the next Rashi that Shani will move into, and Aries represents birth. And the birthing process for a graha that's debilitated there is usually not one that's comfortable. It's one that's definitely going to cause us to have to face and fight some things that we necessarily don't want to fight or face. This is kind of the last call. It's a time to rid of ourselves of baggage and outdated patterns of behavior. It's really where we die to those things that aren't working and weighing us down. Before Shani enters into Aries, is giving us an opportunity to drop the dead weight, to get rid of the baggage that's holding us from being able to prepare and handle the warlike circumstances that are going to come up here after 2027. It's where our faith is tested through the process of letting go and surrender. It's hard to let go of things that we really are attached to. It's really the ego that says, hey, this is mine, right? The ahamkara process, right, where we identify, where we latch on, where we put our kind of claws into things and don't want to remove them, is where it's going to be very difficult. But if you find that the things in your life are not working and you're ready to move on, to let go, to have some resolve and release, then this is going to be a beautiful time. It's where we face our mistakes and deal with the errors over the past 28 years of living. You know, the last time we had this particular transit was 1996 to 1998. And at that time, if you look back, there may have been some things that you really had to let go of. I know it was for myself. Definitely so. That 2-year process was one that I really died and became a whole new person. So it's a time to really remember, you know, what it is that happened to you at that period and point of your life. It's a time of aligning, really it's time of acceptance of hard truths and stop falling prey to inertia and get out of complacency, right? You know, if you've just not taken the bull by the horns and say, you know, let me work on this aspect of my life, right? This is a time where you have the last chance before the planet that deals in severity, that deals in, it's the judge of the zodiac. When he enters the Aries, whatever you didn't deal with in the last 28 years is going to be that thing that's going to hinder you from being able to fight the battles that we're going to be fighting. A wise warrior knows when to leave certain weapons behind that aren't functioning or working for him or her. It's a time of aligning with our destiny and true purpose. What are you intended to do and what are you not intended to do? Working towards a renunciation from the errors of living and represents the ending of long-standing matters, right, and the completion of cycles. And Saturn is that which is final. So when he leaves here, whatever it is what it is. Releasing our fears and anxiety by delving deeply into sacred practices, meditation, mantra work, rituals, right? Other little things, being more in nature, being tied to, schools of thought that are more spiritual, satsang, surrounding ourselves with spiritual people. These are all things that will give us the patience and peace to hear the voice, to understand the next things to do and what to remove from our lives. It's resistance of the ego, dying to antiquated thinking and worn out modes of functioning. And Shani is going to make sure that we sober up, right? And Mina's playfulness, right, will go away, and we'll have to really face and deal with that which is consistent and let go of that which is inconsistent. Some of the remedies and solutions that we can look towards is, of course, first of all, fasting on Saturdays, right? These are things that we really can do without much effort or much challenge, right? Mantras are a little bit different, and they're more further down the list because mantras are something that you should know what you're doing and know how and when to do them, and that's when you sit down with a trained or professional priest or astrologer to give you that insight. Of course, Vedic astrologer, that is. And by the way, I do want to make this particular disclaimer. This particular channel is based on sidereal astrology. We don't deal in tropical, and there's several reasons why we don't. But if you're paying attention, you should be able to see that Shani is in Pisces. It's not beginning to enter into Aries. But nonetheless, feeding black sesame seeds to crows on Saturdays, right, is also one thing that we can do as well. Wearing black on Saturdays honors this particular force in our lives. Donations of darker black clothing or blankets to those that are financially challenged, poor, or in dire need, right? Walking up to them, giving them a blanket with the earnest understanding of charity and humility in the mindset of giving it, right, will definitely open some doors for us as far as Shani's help. Charity to those that are in need, right, such as those that are in transient, lost, or again, in dire, what it's saying, in a bad situation. Having a humble and a charitable attitude or disposition, not only while enacting the remedies, but on a daily basis, consistently. One of the other things is tapasya, which is spiritual discipline, which involves self-restraint, simplicity, and moderation, and aiming to purify the body and mind. Right? So fasting is one, abstinence from sexual engagement is another, right? Vows of silence, right? It's also another. Right? These are things that we can do that will increase us. Pranayama is also another tapasya that we can include in our daily practice, and also yoga as well. Of course, meditation, as we mentioned earlier, but one of the key things is spending time alone. Shani likes for us to be able to hear the voice of conscience, right? Where we can begin to intuit and understand those things that are required for us to make the next journey in our lives. And of course, reading The Greatness of Saturn by Robert Savoda is always a great way to kind of introduce Shani into your life, especially at a time when he's really wanting us to get busy and to get on the ball. And then, of course, lastly, as I mentioned, chanting as well, right? That's something also we can do that we can tie ourselves into on a regular basis that will allow us to move us forward in the time that Shani is waking us up to reality. And so, with that being said here, we definitely want to look forward to the next time we talk, when we're going to get more into what Shani's going to do for you on a personal level, on an individual basis. Or we're going to we're going to have Shani move through the zodiac with us, through each particular Rashi, particular ascendant / moon sign, and kind of give an understanding of what Shawnee has for us on a one-to-one level. Other than that, though, I do appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate your company. I appreciate your patronage. Also appreciate you sharing the video if you find it interesting. Always, as we state here, keep your eyes to the sky, ears to the street, where you have the opportunity to see what's above and understand what's below. And with that, I bid you further ado. Please, of course, remember, keep your eyes to the sky and ears to the street. Peace.